in the heart of the Great Smoky Mountains National Park, where nature's beauty usually reigns supreme, a terrifying tale unfolded. Meet Sarah, David, and Emily, intrepid campers who sought adventure deep within the serene wilderness. The trio set up camp by a tranquil stream, completely unaware of the gruesome fate that awaited them. Sarah, the fearless leader with fiery red hair and freckles, always had a penchant for adventure. David, the tech-savvy survivalist, relished outdoor challenges. And Emily, the gentle artist, found inspiration in the serenity of the woods. As the sun dipped below the horizon, the campfire's warmth provided scant comfort. An ominous hush fell upon the forest, unsettling the trio. The once familiar rustling of leaves turned into sinister whispers, and a bone-chilling growl reverberated through the woods. Sarah's fearless demeanor began to waver as unease settled in. David, the survival expert, checked his gear with increasing anxiety, while Emily, the artist, clutched her sketchbook nervously. The forest, which had always been their sanctuary, now seemed alien and hostile. The moon unveiled the true horror, a monstrous werewolf known as the Savageclaw, its fur matted with dried blood, eyes glinting malevolence. Without warning, it lunged at David, its claws slicing through his flesh, leaving him a gory mess. Blood sprayed across the campsite as his life ebbed away. Sarah's scream pierced the night as she watched in terror. She reached for a nearby branch, swinging it wildly at the creature, but it was too late for David. The werewolf, its bloodlust unsatiated, turned its attention to Emily. Paralyzed with fear, Emily tried to escape, but the relentless predator cornered her. Its claws etched gruesome trails on the trees as it closed in, and Emily's screams tore through the night, her life snuffed out in a nightmarish instant. Covered in David's blood and trembling, Sarah knew there was no escape. She backed away, her heart pounding like a drum, her eyes locked onto the ravenous creature. Desperation gripped her as she realized she was the last line of defense for her friends. Covered in David's blood, Sarah's hands shook as she grabbed a blazing branch from the fire. She swung it at the Savageclaw with all her might, setting its fur ablaze. The creature howled in agony, revealing hideous burns beneath its fur. In a final, desperate lunge, the Savageclaw tried to take Sarah, but she thrust the burning branch into its chest. The werewolf fell lifeless amidst the gore-splattered campsite. Sarah, the lone, traumatized survivor, fell to her knees, sobbing, forever haunted by the gruesome horrors of that night. As the first light of dawn broke, the tranquil stream mirrored the horror that had unfolded. Sarah, her body and mind scarred, could hardly believe the nightmare she had survived. The once serene woods, now tainted with blood and death, were forever changed. Sarah gathered what remained of their camp and made her way back to civilization. She could never forget the terrifying encounter with the Savageclaw, the grotesque wounds it inflicted on her friends, and the gruesome end they met. The local authorities were skeptical of her story, attributing it to trauma and exhaustion. Sarah knew the truth, but who would believe her? The woods held their secrets, and the Savageclaw remained a dark legend lurking in the depths of the Great Smoky Mountains National Park, waiting for its next unsuspecting victims. The seasons changed, but the scars of that fateful night never healed. Sarah withdrew from her adventurous lifestyle, haunted by nightmares of the Savageclaw's relentless pursuit. She became a recluse, avoiding the wilderness that once held so much allure. Years passed, and Sarah's story became an eerie legend among the locals. Whispered around campfires, many dismissed it as a campfire tale, but some believed that a malevolent force lurked in the woods, a force they dared not confront. One crisp autumn evening, a group of daring thrill-seekers decided to test their bravery. Armed with cameras and flashlights, they ventured into the heart of the Great Smoky Mountains National Park, intent on capturing evidence of the elusive Savageclaw. As night descended and the forest grew darker, the group's enthusiasm turned to trepidation. The rustling leaves seemed to echo with the chilling whispers of that dreadful night. The moon cast eerie shadows, and the temperature plummeted. They camped near the same tranquil stream, unaware of the ominous history that clung to the place. The flickering campfire provided little solace as they shared stories, trying to drown out the unsettling silence of the woods. But the ominous presence that had haunted Sarah, David, and Emily had not disappeared. Unseen eyes watched from the darkness, and a familiar growl sent shivers down their spines. The Savageclaw had returned, hungry for fresh victims. As the moonlight bathed the campsite, the creature revealed itself, its eyes glowing with malevolence. Panic swept through the group as they realized the truth of Sarah's story. The Savageclaw, driven by an insatiable bloodlust, attacked with savage ferocity. The forest became a nightmarish battleground, echoing with terrified screams and the sickening sound of tearing flesh. Limbs were torn asunder, entrails strewn across the forest floor, and the once triumphant thrill-seekers were reduced to desperate, blood-soaked victims. Their pleas for mercy went unheard as the Savageclaw tore through their ranks, leaving a trail of carnage in its wake. In the end, only one would escape, forever scarred by the gruesome horrors of that night, just as Sarah had been years before. The Great Smoky Mountains National Park had once again borne witness to a nightmarish tragedy, its beauty forever marred by the malevolent presence of the Savageclaw. And as the seasons continued to change, the legend lived on, a chilling reminder that some horrors could never be escaped, only endured in the heart of the wilderness. Months after the gruesome night that had claimed the lives of the daring thrill-seekers, the legend of the Savageclaw persisted in the Great Smoky Mountains National Park. Its eerie reputation drew the attention of two seasoned national park rangers, Mark and Lisa, concerned for the safety of park visitors and eager to put an end to the unsettling rumors. They embarked on a treacherous journey into the heart of the wilderness. Armed with experience and determination, Mark and Lisa ventured deep into the rugged terrain, following the stories and clues left behind by the victims. They found remnants of the ill-fated expedition, torn and bloody clothes, scattered guts, and gruesome remains that told the tale of a vicious attack. The evidence painted a grim picture, but the rangers couldn't turn back now. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows through the dense forest, Mark and Lisa set up camp near the site of the massacre. They had no illusions about the danger they faced, but they were prepared to confront the sinister legend head-on. Night fell, and the forest seemed to hold its breath, as if bracing for the horrors that lay in wait. Mark and Lisa, sitting by their campfire, scanned their surroundings with a mix of caution and anticipation. The chilling stories they had heard seemed more real with each passing minute. Suddenly, the tranquility of the night was shattered by a blood-curdling howl that echoed through the trees. The rangers exchanged uneasy glances, their flashlights trained on the surrounding darkness. It was a sound that sent shivers down their spines, a howl that spoke of primal terror. Before they could react, the howling grew louder, closer, as if drawing a circle of dread around them. Mark and Lisa's hearts raced as they realized they were not alone in the woods. The Savageclaw and its pack were closing in, drawn by the scent of intruders in their territory. The first attack was swift and brutal. From the shadows emerged a nightmarish figure, larger and more fearsome than any wolf. The werewolf, with blood-stained fur and glistening fangs, lunged at Mark with relentless ferocity. Mark barely had time to raise his flashlight as the creature's claws tore into him, leaving him a mangled mess. Lisa screamed in horror, trying to fend off the savage assailant. She reached for her weapon, but the werewolf's onslaught was too savage. Blood sprayed across the campsite as Mark's life was snuffed out, and Lisa's cries of desperation went unanswered. With the rangers incapacitated, the Savageclaw's pack closed in, their eyes gleaming with the same malevolence that had marked their previous victims. They feasted on the fresh kill, their savage growls filling the night as they tore through flesh and bone. When the first rays of dawn broke, a gruesome tableau remained: a campsite drenched in blood, and the remains of Mark and Lisa, their lifeless bodies bearing the brutal marks of the werewolf attack. The legends of the Savageclaw had claimed more lives, leaving a chilling legacy in the heart of the Great Smoky Mountains National Park. Hours later, colleagues of Mark and Lisa, aware of their mission, ventured into the wilderness in search of their missing comrades. They stumbled upon the horrifying aftermath, the grisly remnants of the Rangers' last stand. Panic set in as they realized the danger that lurked in the forest. Fearful and traumatized, they fled to the nearest ranger outpost, seeking refuge from the relentless horrors of the night. The legend of the Savageclaw lived on, more chilling and blood-soaked than ever, as the rangers barricaded themselves in the outpost, knowing that the wilderness held secrets and horrors they could never fully comprehend. The news of Mark and Lisa's tragic fate spread like wildfire, and it sent shockwaves through the close-knit ranger community. Colleagues who had known the two rangers for years were devastated by the gruesome manner of their deaths. A somber mood hung over the park as a search and recovery team was assembled. Their mission was grim but necessary. They had to locate the remains of their fallen comrades and ensure that they received a proper burial. The team arrived at the campsite, where the evidence of the savage attack still lay scattered about. Bloody clothes, severed limbs, and bone fragments told a gruesome tale. It was a gruesome sight, one that would haunt the memories of those who had to witness it. As they gathered the remains, the forest seemed to echo with the haunting howls of the Savageclaw and its pack. The rangers worked swiftly, driven by a mixture of sorrow and fear. They knew that the werewolves were still out there, lurking in the shadows. Night began to fall once more, and the search and recovery team felt a growing sense of unease. The forest, once a place of solace and beauty, now felt like a sinister trap. The legends were real, and they were in the heart of the Savageclaw's territory. The howls of the werewolves grew louder, drawing closer with each passing minute. Panic began to grip the team as they realized that they were not alone. The creatures were circling them, their predatory instincts honed on the scent of fresh prey. With their grim task nearly complete, the rangers made a hasty retreat, carrying the remains of Mark and Lisa with them. The forest was alive with malevolence, and they knew that the werewolves were closing in. The team's hurried footsteps echoed through the darkness as they fled toward the safety of the ranger outpost. The howls of the Savageclaw's pack grew louder, and the rangers could hear the creatures closing in, their footsteps echoing through the underbrush. Panic turned to terror as the first werewolf lunged from the shadows, its eyes gleaming with savage hunger. The rangers fought desperately, firing their weapons and swinging their flashlights. But the creatures were relentless. One by one, the rangers fell to the relentless onslaught. Their screams of terror were drowned out by the growls and snarls of the werewolves. Limbs torn asunder, entrails strewn across the forest floor, and the once triumphant search and recovery team was reduced to desperate, blood-soaked victims. They were wolves, feasted upon them, their savage appetites sated with a gruesome banquet. As the last of the rangers fell to the relentless onslaught, a chilling silence descended upon the forest, broken only by the guttural growls of the Savageclaw's pack. The moon cast an eerie pallor over the carnage, turning the forest into a nightmarish tableau. But the horrors were far from over. As the werewolves gorged themselves on fresh flesh, an unexpected twist unfolded. Among the rangers, one had been harboring a dark secret. As the moonlight bathed the campsite in its silvery glow, the transformation began. The ranger, seemingly lifeless on the forest floor, suddenly convulsed. Bones snapped and twisted, flesh contorted and elongated, and with a monstrous howl, the once human figure became a creature of nightmares, the very wolf that had been stalking them. The other werewolves, sensing the presence of their kin, paused in their feast and turned to their newly revealed comrade. There was a moment of tension, as if the pack was assessing the newcomer, and then, with a chorus of blood-curdling howls, they welcomed their traitorous kin back into the fold. With newfound strength and ferocity, the rogue ranger werewolf joined the savage feast. Limbs were torn from bodies, organs devoured with relish, and the forest echoed with the sounds of the gruesome banquet. When the carnage was finally over, and the ranger's remains lay scattered and mutilated, the werewolves retreated into the shadows, leaving the campsite bathed in blood and darkness. The legend of the Savageclaw had taken an even more chilling turn, and the forest held its secrets tighter than ever. Days later, as news of the ranger's demise spread throughout the park, it sent shockwaves through the community. Friends and colleagues were left in disbelief, unable to comprehend the horrors that had unfolded. The forest, once a place of beauty and tranquility, had become a nightmare. The park authorities launched an investigation, determined to uncover the truth behind the gruesome events. But as they delved deeper into the mystery, they found themselves facing a web of deception and treachery. Evidence pointed to the rogue ranger werewolf, but they could find no trace of their once trusted comrade. It was as if the creature had vanished into thin air, leaving only questions and a trail of death in its wake. The legend of the Savageclaw grew darker with each passing day, and the forest became a place of dread and fear. Visitors stayed away, and those who ventured into the wilderness did so with caution, knowing that the horrors that lurked in the shadows were all too real. The truth behind the Savageclaw remained hidden, a chilling enigma that left the park authorities and the community in a state of unease. The forest held its secrets close, and the legend lived on, more gruesome and unsettling than ever. And as the seasons changed, and the great Smoky Mountains National Park continued to stand as a testament to nature's beauty and brutality, the legacy of the Savageclaw remained, a chilling reminder that some horrors could never be escaped, only endured in the heart of the wilderness.